What's going on, gamers? Hopefully, everyone is doing well today. We got some exposure to go on here, and that's with the Sony president and CEO Hiroki Totoki himself. Yeah, crazy stuff here when it comes to stock manipulation, and then a lot of things are in the air for question whether or not he's doing something illegal, whether or not this means that he may be leaving. Will there be a change in leadership in Sony after the physical disc production ending? There's a lot of stuff to talk about here. This already hit 1.7 million views from Pirate Nation. Let's get into this. So it says right here, just days after PlayStation announced, because I had to look up some stuff. I'm like, hold on, wait, what? Yeah, just days after PlayStation announced that all new games will be digital only starting in 2028. Sony president and CEO Hiroki Totoki sold 225,000 Sony shares. So what this means is that this is like you knowing what's about to happen. You somehow have some inside information, if you want to look at it this way, and you're looking to make millions of dollars, which you're capitalizing on destroying off part of gaming. Yeah, that's not going to be looking good. And it doesn't surprise me if he did this, right? But then I know there's some people that are going to say what he did is illegal. I mean, hey, I get what you're saying. So let's keep reading this. It says, according to a recent SEC filing, Totoki sold the shares on July 3rd. This was 5 days ago. You see this right here? So he sold 225,000 shares, as we see right here, on July 3rd for an estimated 4.73 million. So he almost made $5 million literally for himself off of Sony announcing that they're going all digital. And it's like, whoa, hold up. This is the guy that's literally the CEO and the president of Sony. So he overrides PlayStation, he overrides everything. That's like the CEO. It's like Satya doing that, right? And you got Asha over there on Xbox being the CEO at the moment. This is literally equivalent to that. And then you find out he just made himself an extra 5 million, right? No, this is like a Microsoft where he gets paid 100 million or something. Like Satya can come in and grab that. But at the end of the day, he's basically going to be looked at very negatively after this if people find out some more stuff. The sale represented 56.5% of his holdings in that class of Sony stock. You see this? That was 56.5% of his holdings, and he's been holding on to that for a while. This is some oh man, I don't care type of stuff. Boy, I tell you, Sony lately, like some of the stuff they're doing, this is what I mean by like when I tell you that they're not stupid, they know what they're doing. This guy comes and sells off 225,000 shares and banks in damn near 5 million off of knowing that the stock was gonna go up, and it did. I don't know if you guys saw it. It went up. Even if it goes back down, it doesn't matter. He got his shares, he poured it out. So now he's left after that. Think about this. Now he's left after that with 173,250 shares. So this gives you the idea that, yeah, he sold 56.5% of his holdings. The stock sale happened shortly after, here's the next thing. The stock sale happened shortly after Sony announced its move toward an all-digital future for new PlayStation games after a huge backlash from everyone. As we know, it's one of the biggest drama breakouts in gaming history. It's pretty much everywhere, and I think that we know the internet holds grudges. They'll end up pulling up something from 2003 to try to hold over you. I mean, it's just how it works, right? So if Sony thinks that somebody's going to forget about this, no, they're not going to. This is just the way that things work. Now, going down, we can read some of these comments, but I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. So this obviously is just Mr. Hiroki Totoki here. As I'm saying, whether he stays or leaves, he just grabbed himself 5 million, right? We don't know. I think that there's going to be something going on here. I think a lot of people are not only angry at him, but they're angry at Hideaki Nishino. It seems like things were going right, and there were the guys that were going to share some of their games with PC. A lot of that stuff happened as well. And it ended up backfiring. And I remember when they were making a lot of organizations and people thought that Xbox and all of them were going to be getting PlayStation exclusives. Insomniac did a tweet. They were all in high hopes for all this stuff, but none of it happened, obviously. And they were going to clean up Jim Ryan's mess, which I think for the most part they did. But the all-digital future, I think, basically is a move where they're going to be looked at a certain way for a long time. Him and Nishino. But he's the leader, though. It's just like whatever happens to Xbox, sure, you can say what you want about Asha or even Phil at that time, but if Satya is in control, like this guy is in control, then it goes all the way back to him and maybe the hands behind him outside of the Sony Corporation at the top of the pyramid. And Pirate Nation says the source is right here. Insider sell. President and CEO of Sony sells 225,000 shares. So it's not something that's made up. It's literally something that is over the internet for everybody to see. This guy says, please shut up about physical disc. Over 80% of consumers are already digital only. It's not as big of a deal as you are all making it out to be. Here's my thing with this. The internet always, and the media will always manipulate and make something bigger than it is. But this phenomenon, as I explained before, is definitely a big thing in the PlayStation world. It's not fake. I told you Sony had a PS1 legacy with CDs. It changed the game, like forever, right? And PlayStation sold over 100 million consoles. It was the first time coming on the market because they tried to make a console with Nintendo first. Then with PS2, they had a phenomenon with DVDs. They had it at $199 where you get a DVD player, plus you're getting a PlayStation 2 console for $199. It was moving off the shelves like crazy. Those prices don't exist anymore, right? Then you have PS3 with Blu-ray. You could hold more formats. That's why Xbox had to have multiple discs, but PlayStation, you could just put everything on one disc because Blu-ray had more space and it could just make things better too. With PS4, they made the formats even better. And Microsoft messed up and tried a DRM lockout. Sony came in and said, here's a way to share, right? They always had a phenomenon with physical throughout PlayStation history. Sony in general, they always had physical manufacturer phenomenons. They did. Look at what they did with the Walkman in the 90s. I've told people about this before. So they have a responsibility for a huge digital legacy. I mean, not digital legacy, physical legacy here and a physical crowd that when they think about PlayStation, a disc plays an important part in their life. When you think about game ownership, that plays an important part in the PlayStation world, definitely when it comes to legacy of third party too, because Sony was mainly always third party. And that was always some of the biggest parts of the gaming industry. So you're the one that don't know what you're talking about. Of course, the majority of the people in the world who are consumers have voted to say, we like digital better. There's no doubt about that. But 20% of the market is still massive when you have the biggest third-party publishing platform in gaming history. You see what I mean? Like, you can't just throw that away. And then there are certain games that they've shown for PlayStation history, or just actually first-party games this generation, and certain third-party games that have like a 50% physical ratio, some a little bit more. So I think you saying that, you're just tired of it, but you're actually fully digital, right? I could imagine the comments. This guy's got 448 comments. How bro felt typing that. Leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone. This type of stuff is going to happen. 226 people like this. It's like, if you do this, you're literally asking for massive engagement. Look how many comments this guy has just off of that amount of views. This is to tell you, people are going to come in. Just because you don't think it's important doesn't mean the rest of the world doesn't. If someone is upset, let them be. Don't deride a company making terrible decisions. And here goes a post right here. God of War Ragnarok, 76% physical, 24% digital. I don't know if that is still the same since that moment compared to now. But back then, Insomniac did have a leak. I think the digital is higher than that now, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it still plays an important role. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, 63% physical. Astrobot. This may be even now, but the point is, it's still high. Marvel Spider-Man 2, 54% physical. There's discoverability in physical. Assassin's Creed Mirage, 49%. Resident Evil 4 Remake, 45%. Hogwarts Legacy, 44%. And Star Wars Jedi, 40%. And of course, you could probably look at a lot of games today and they're probably like 30% physical, 25%. But guess what? That's still a big chunk of your sales because of price affordability and people want that ownership. If you look at like Hideo Kojima's post, there's a whole wall of all the DVDs, you know what I mean, Blu-rays and physical copies of generations of games that he has from Sony just alone. And there's a crowd out there for that. So yeah, of course he's going to get slammed. The claim over 80% of consumers are already digital only is not supported by proven data. It mixes up sell shares with the actual percentage of consumers who buy exclusively digital. So we knew that was going to happen. Going down, Mike says he is getting out now while he still can. Just like we are doing now. Run, guys. It's so over for PlayStation. We will see to that. Boycott Sony, boycott PlayStation, save physical media. Like I said, this isn't going anywhere for a while. Tundra says Sony president kills his own corporation just to sell his stock at its peak value before the self-inflicted market crash. Real life supervillain. Dude doesn't give a F about his employees or companies. So this guy is seen as a villain after doing that. Because it's like, well, you make more money than anyone there. You are actually the leader, right? It's like I said, it's like Satya right now, though. He's been doing that to Xbox. You know, making certain moves and then he banks in $5 million for himself. It's not going to be seen as anything in the light except to be exposed. Right? Andrew says play has limits. His loss because the stock actually went up. It seems investors are digging the move so far. I'm pretty sure he probably pulled out his stock already. Yeah, that's how it works. Well, congratulations. You got yourself a PR disaster. What's the next step of your master plan? Crashing this company with no survivors? 1.5K people like that. Here's the thing. I know you guys think that this physical phenomenon is going to destroy PlayStation, but I promise you it's not going to. But is it doing damage? Yes. Are you guys doing the right thing? Yes, because remember, we're the ones that funded digital to be in that position anyways, but not to be like this though. I never wanted them to finish off physical. I still thought it was too early. If you still could sell over 100 million consoles physically, why would you mess with the physical market? People still have to go get PlayStation, and that's still in front of you in the stores. See, there's no escaping this. That medium, that medium is still like very important, unless you're trying to buy online, but not everybody does that. I still like to go and trade in, and I still like to interact and pick up my console. Like, that's not something that I think is going away anytime soon. They know the stock's going to be crashed hard, so they'll sell it quickly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we see 3.5K here and everything else right here as well too. PR disaster. He's not being put in the limelight because it's like, dude, what are you doing? Right? Pretty obvious. Smash JT comes in and says, well. Just like Jim Ryan did, PlayStation. Then he runs away. Oh, look what happened with Bobby Kotick after he did everything he did. He walked away with $100 and something million or a couple $100 million parachute. Western society for you, right? You think his meant something? Psh, it's worse than Western society, trust me. So we get an idea here about what people immediately think about Hiroki Totoki. And now he's being pretty much a villain on that subject. Exorcist has his post right here, basically saying what's going on with this. Louis says, wait, if Sony's stock went up and he sold it, why did the move turn out bad for him? It depends on when he pulled out. I don't think so. Applied the one from Donald Duck. That's actually funny. Two things. It's illegal to move money with insider information. The stocks are rising, which makes him an idiot, not a master play. If that is the case, but I don't think that's the case. See, there's a lot of ways to dodge this. Sources, by the way, I highly doubt this happened. It did. That's illegal, isn't it? It's called insider trading. That's what I'm saying. I get what you guys are saying, but maybe there's a different way he did that. If the move had gone well for him, do you think he would have ended up under investigation? Because if he did, it was because he sensed that something could happen. I don't see coincidences here. This is the other side of the fence that people are kind of saying. Obviously, the stocks weren't going to drop with this news, or at least not much, since all the companies are rubbing their hands together at the thought of selling their games only digitally. Tons of crying on Twitter, but that doesn't move the needle, and even less so for something that's inevitable. That's what I'm saying here. So this guy says, literal is the damn fool who saw how, because of those effing starving idiots. They almost died with Play 3, and some think he sold them at a loss. For 5% profit today, the loss will be 20% in the future. When he sold, they had already gone up 7% illegally. We'll see if there was market abuse. Hopefully so, and he gets hit with the full force of the law. That's what a lot of people are hoping that's going to happen. It's normal for them to rise. It's a decision that investors like. Who believes they support games as a service? Investors. In the end, if a game fails, they blame the company and sell their shares, and someone else will be ready to buy them. That's also true. So we get a lot of points of views on this situation. But one thing we know for sure is that what he was doing was not an accident, and that none of these guys are dumb, banking in millions of dollars off of gamer sorrows, which is not going to be appreciated. So become a member, leave a tip down below, like, comment, subscribe, hit that hype button. Let me know what you guys think. It's only $3 to become a member. I appreciate that. I think he he did do this, and I think he did make some money, and I think in a way to where he's going to be fine, like no matter what. And even then, he may pay somebody off to the side, and they'll just shut up. Hey, man, you never know. It just depends on what happens. But hey, we're going to find out a lot more in the next week or two, aren't we? Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, leave a comment down below. Interesting stuff over here. The drama just is nonstop with this. So Sony's having a couple days or almost a straight week of bad news ever since this got announced. Definitely with the way they handled the situation yesterday, coming out with the fight stick. Think about that as a reply to you. It's like, I'm ready to fight against your raging and crying. Why did you bring that flex stick out? Like, think about that. It's almost like they're memeing gamers, and your response is a fighting stick. Like they're fighting. You see what I'm saying? That's the way I kind of saw that. I don't think that post was an accident, and it took them a while to actually reply. But the heat is not off them fully back on Microsoft. This is too big. We see this. Later, y'all.